Captain's Log supplemental. I've had to confiscate everyone's data pads for 2 weeks after an incident in the mess hall. Ensign Kowalski punched Lieutenant Johnson after Johnson spoiled today's Wordle. Should have been a court-martial, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Hell, I don't even blame her. What kind of made-up word is Shire?
Welcome back, everybody, to episode 2 of Captain's Log Supplemental, in which we cover episode 2 of Enterprise Star Trek, The Bow, Part 2.
Broken Bow?
I'm sorry, The Broken Bow, Part 2.
Is it Broken Bow or Bow?
I assumed Broken Bow, but maybe Bow?
Oh, wait, is it broken bow? Because, it's a bow like B-O-W, so a broken bow would be like I was going to bow to you, but then I decided not to?
Or like the bow of a ship?
Well, that's B-O-U-G-H, isn't it? No, that's like a tree bow.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. We didn't look that up. All right, you keep going, Rob. I'm going to find it.
This is awful. Okay. So I am once again joined this week by Chris Emmerich.
Howdy.
And Matthew Stanford.
Hi.
All right. So this episode picks up at the end of the cliffhanger from the first part. So the good Suliban come to rescue our intrepid adventurers from the bad Suliban. So they spring them out and take them to meet their leader. I don't know if she's given an official title. Her name is Serene.
Hold up.
Yes.
You're misremembering here. The people that took them captive in the first place were the good Suliban.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I am misremembering. Yep, they took them captive so that they could drag them to meet Serene. Okay.
Yes.
So we first meet Serene, where she tries to measure Captain Archer's trust by establishing close physical contact via kiss.
Totally necessary.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really understand why a handshake wouldn't do here, especially given human nature.
See, on us, we have taste buds on our tongue. For them, it's like trust buds. That's how they sense the trust. That's what it is.
Ah, okay. No, that totally makes sense.
Well, that's just her. That was her genetic addition, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So Serene reveals that there is a temporal Cold War underway, and that Klang, the Klingon that Archer insisted on rescuing, was carrying a message indicating that the bad Suliban had been meddling in Klingon affairs. So at this point, we get the first firefight of the series. Well, I guess the first firefight involving the Enterprise crew of the series, because we had the little tussle at the beginning of the episodes with the Klingon. So the bad Suliban show up and decide that once again the most effective combat tactic would be crawling along the ceiling without cover? Question mark.
Yeah, that dude was he was just 4D chessing it, and the one dude got lucky and hit him. It's just a totally viable tactic.
It's so weird. It would make sense, and I could see it being super useful if artificial gravity wasn't a thing on station, but you're fighting against gravity in an environment where you're just going to be in complete open cover. There's not anything for you to hide behind.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah, but
it's intimidating.
You're invincible because you're on the ceiling as you crawl slowly along. I have an answer, by the way, as far as Broken Bow.
Okay. It's Broken Bow. Okay.
I don't know if it's Broken Bow or Broken Bow. The reason the episode is named that, do either of you know?
Something's tickling at the back of my brain.
Is it some Greek thing?
No. It is far, far stupider.
Is it because his name is Archer?
Broken. Oh, no, I didn't think of that. That's funny. Broken Bow is the name of the town in Oklahoma where the Klingon was shot in the cornfield. It is a real place in Oklahoma. I do not know how it is pronounced because there is not a pronunciation guide on the Wikipedia article. So if any of our listeners happen to be from around Broken Bow/Bow, Oklahoma, let us know how that is pronounced.
So just spitballing here, kind of using some deductive logic. A lot of Native American tribes in that area, probably originally. Broken Bow seems like a very possible choice of words for this based on that.
That is true. The area was owned by Choctaw before we came and stole it from them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So in the ensuing firefight, Serene is killed, but the away team managed to escape mostly unscathed, with the exception of Archer, who gets shot.
He was too busy.
We get another flashback. Yeah. Too busy doing to take appropriate cover. So we get another flashback of Archer with his dad, in which I guess it's insinuated that T'Pol is the wind that Archer should be trusting, like when he had to trust the wind with his little drone thing in the flashback.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So crew gets ready to get back aboard the Enterprise. The Doctor senses some unfamiliar organisms on T'Pol and Tucker. So naturally, they wind up having to go through decon.
Are they not allowed to decontaminate their own ears?
The thing I don't understand is there like a legitimate reason why it's not just like an omnidirectional spray? Like why does it have to be the gel?
Because this is hotter.
I mean, I guess so.
I mean, yeah, like Trip got his shirt off.
He's very bulgy.
He is quite the specimen. Which is funny because his face makes him feel like he's just going to be like, oh yeah, down homeboy or whatever. And it's like, oh shit. All right.
Yeah, he's bulgy. He says daddy in a weird way.
He does too.
The gel is like glittery.
It is. Yes, it's got glitter in it.
Sure.
Yeah, and then I said,
I don't remember that.
They apply it sensually to each other's ears in a weird way, which makes me very uncomfortable.
Close-up camera panning.
There's a lot of fingers just getting underneath waistbands,
slightly into the butt crack.
Yeah,
it was
a
really
lot of
weird.
Lingering camera angles.
When Trip went to go and decon to Paul's ears, I thought it was like some sort of racist gesture, only because that's where the show has typically gone between humans and Vulcans up to this point. Like, I didn't realize that they were supposed to do that. I guess it's like sunscreen.
But I can put sunscreen on my own ears. Yeah.
Yes.
I can reach my ass crack too. If they're going to rub each other, like shoulders, middle of the back, that's where you get each other.
Right.
And also, I guess, are their private areas okay? Like, did they not get any microorganisms on, their nipples? Well, I guess Trip got some on his.
They've got antimicrobial underwear.
There you go.
It was fine.
Just the underwear there, not
just the underwear. Yeah, they can't make the whole outfits out of that shit.
Nope. No. That's too resource intensive.
And it's funny, too, because the camera work in this sequence is clearly, very male gaze of the early 2000s, because Trip is a good looking guy and his body is nice, but the camera does not linger on Trip the same way it lingers on T'Pol. And I think, and to be fair to today's also, let's be honest, over sexualized media, I think it would linger on Trip more if this same sequence was done today.
Sure.
Oh yeah. Look at what the
same sequence
what the Star Wars movies did with the guy who plays Kylo. They had that whole topless scene.
Adam Driver, that's right. He's just not wearing a shirt the one time for no reason.
Very broad.
Yeah.
How does he look?
With Guardians of the Galaxy and
strangely attractive.
Guardians of the Galaxy and Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
They're definitely more
eye candy for everybody.
What's the word? Yeah, exactly.
Egalitarian, yeah.
Yeah, egalitarian eye candy.
Which I don't, obviously I'm not complaining about, but it is very interesting to watch the eye candy evolve in front of our faces like that.
So Archer winds up in six bay. Six bay.
Seven
Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Six
bay. Am I right, guys?
Yep. And we wind up with our first captain's log there. We also see the alien starfish that Phlox uses to heal wounds. Like, it's interesting that we're so early on, and you kind of get a little bit of this from Strange New Worlds too. We're so early on in the Star Trek universe that they don't really have the advanced medical technology they wind up with later.
I do like it because, not everything's just fixed with a hypospray kit.
Right. Yeah. Not everything's just a simple syringe they inject you with.
Were you gonna say something, Stanford?
I was gonna say, like, their motorized, like, MRI table technology is well advanced, though. That fucker flies.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know if that happens in this episode. Like, that MRI table comes scooting out of that closet at like 20 miles an hour. It's
it moves way faster than the lifts do in engineering.
Yeah. The lifts with the handrails you're not allowed to put your hands on because you'll lose your fingers.
Yeah. So
peek ahead for you guys.
T'Pol proves that she can be kind of cool and follow the captain's orders by actually pursuing the Suliban ship after they got away.
Which, like, was she planning on doing that the whole time? Because if so, I don't know why she gave Trip such a hard time.
Part of me thinks it might have been just to prove a point that, like, you need to have a cooler head. Like, even if it is what you wind up doing, you have to pursue it from a logical perspective.
That's a good point. Trip said "daddy" a couple times in that conversation, so I was losing track of it.
Sure. To be fair, like, even Archer was kind of confused that T'Pol, like, went along with this.
Right.
I think everybody was. So they wind up losing the Suliban at this gas giant planet, but they do find evidence of a bunch of ships in the planet's atmosphere. So I think this is the first time they power up the ship's weapons, which are missiles, if I'm led to understand correctly.
Yes, missiles.
Yeah, they don't do the torpedoes thing till later.
The worst missiles ever.
Do they even have phasers at this point?
No.
Oh, right, because they've got phase weapons. Like, they have the phase pistols instead of phasers.
Yeah, they get phase cannons later.
Yeah, they test them. That's a whole thing. Is that the one they blow up the fucking comet or something later with those?
Maybe.
Yes. Or they try to fail.
So we wind up with another cutscene back in the weird time chamber with the bad Suliban. And they're all like, "We didn't plan for humans. Stop the humans."
Yep.
The ship winds up descending into the atmosphere of the gas giant, which, like, this is a weirdly Star Trek trope at this point, right? Like, if you wind up in a nebula or any sort of gaseous area, everything is broken. Like, you have no sensors, your shields don't work right. Like,
shields not working in nebula is, like, I'm pretty sure Star Trek 2 invented that, and, like,
interesting.
It is such an understood concept that, like, every single video game I've even played does the same thing. All the Masters of Orions did it. Stellaris does it. Like,
Stellaris
part of the sci-fi zeitgeist at this point
is that, yes, when you're in a nebula, your shields don't work. Which, I
wonder,
it makes sense, I guess.
Like, I'm assuming it's based on, like, charged ionic particles or something. Like, I'm sure there's some reason for it. It's just weird because the ship has its own internal generator system. Like, I don't know. It is definitely a trope.
Yeah, I don't know if, like, I'm curious. It was probably, if I had to put my money on it, it was probably a convenience when they first came up with it. Like, well, wait, why does Khan have shields? How are we going to get their shields down or whatever?
It's like it's exactly the reason why they have to find, like, reasons why the transporter doesn't work, because it solves every problem.
Right.
That is true.
Yeah, why don't we just beam all of our enemies into space? Oh, you can't beam their shields. Okay. But wait.
So they wind up coming across. We do? No. They turn the shields down.
Mm-hmm.
They have to. Like, that's actually a plot point in a couple episodes.
Yeah.
No, they don't. No, they don't. They phase. Yeah. They have, like, a frequency or some shit. Like harmonic frequencies and shit.
No, definitely, like, in Next Generation, I recall at least for sure that they like there's like situations where they're in a fight and they like can't beam them up because they would have to take down their shields to do it.
Yeah, I think it happens in Discovery too, early on. But it is definitely a thing.
Interesting.
You know what it is? They haven't invented the timer mechanism. Like when on old aircraft they had the machine guns that had the time to fire between the propellers.
That French guy invented it back in like 1908 or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So Enterprise does come across the Suliban station and then beats a hasty retreat once they realize that there are a ton of ships around it. They come up with the bright idea of trying to hijack one of these ships to sneak on board, but they don't have tractor beams. So instead they have giant grappling hooks.
That comes up a couple times.
Does it really? Oh man, I'm so excited to see these again. This was hilarious. So they managed to latch a hold of one of the Suliban vessels. The pilot just decides to eject into the gas giant, which, interesting strategy.
I'm not going to take my chances. I'm going to...
He's just like, fuck, where's the yeet button?
You have been yoked.
So we see Trip hop on board, which is funny because earlier on in this episode, I don't remember if we brought it up on the other episode, but we see Trip piloting like a little shuttle at one point, and he's like scraping it along the hull of their brand new starship. So naturally, he's the one who gets to drive the brand new, never before seen Suliban starship.
Hey, don't they practice? They actually practice what the controls do, which is like the first time you ever see that, rather than like they just automatically showing up. Yeah, just clicking on random alien shit. Yeah.
This might be the first time the crew of this Enterprise ever shows any level of caution.
Yeah, that's true.
And then Archer immediately starts doing again.
Yep. So we've got Archer and Trip making their way over to the space station. Meanwhile, we go all hunt for Red October with the Enterprise, and the Suliban start dropping, I guess, gas giant depth charges to try and find them.
I didn't even think of that. It's what they are too.
Yeah,
it's like oddly specific, Reed gave Archer and Trip an interesting device. It reverses the polarity of any system that it's next to.
Magnets, specifically magnets.
The only time reverse the polarity has been used in an actually probably somewhat correct way.
And does it reverse or does it just depolarize the magnets?
No, it was reverse.
No, it was reverse.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yes, it depolarizes or it reverses the polarity of the magnet of magnets because the ships are being held together by magnetic interlocks.
Yep. Yeah. So they make their way on board the station and decide that they need to use the stun weapon on everybody. So instead of actually shooting to kill, they shoot stun, which seems to work. Back on board the Enterprise, the depth charges start finding their mark, so they realize they have to move and potentially put the captain and Trip at risk because they may not be able to find their way back to the vessel. They find Clang, who is a little angry about being rescued, it seems.
I mean, he's a Klingon. It's just soiling his honor. He had to be rescued.
Clang is the only... Clang is the only actor in this entire episode that's really pulling his weight, though.
It is true. So, polarity reversal chaos ensues, right? Everybody starts, disengaging their ships from the hull of the space station. And the security forces start to show up. We get a little bit of a firefight going on. This whole space station, by the way, is just, a Voltron assembly of all of these other Suliban ball ships.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Up, the better it gets.
It just seems so incredibly unpractical.
I think so.
Impractical.
I don't know about that, because, then you don't need a station, right? Your station is a bunch of ships put together, which means that, you can make a station anywhere instantaneously, and you don't need to pack it up when you're ready to go.
But there's also
guess
definite corridors and stuff too, though.
I was under the impression that the corridors got formed by the ships. It wasn't they didn't really. I wasn't given a schematic, so I don't know how the fuck it actually works. But that was the impression I got from the little speech that Trip or T'Pol gave about it.
It was super weird. I mean, it was cool, but like, just seems way more trouble than it's worth. Like, could you imagine having to assemble that all the first time?
You don't just click the button and the computer takes it?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, their little polarity reversal starts breaking apart the space station at one point. So Trip and our Klingon friend decide they have to make the trip back to the Enterprise as a duo instead of the trio. Because I think they said there wasn't enough room on board. Was that the argument?
I think Archer fell behind and he told him to go.
Ah, okay. I can't remember that part of the episode. But yeah, so Archer winds up staying behind and runs into Silik for the first time. So he winds up in that crazy time chamber that we've seen our bad guys monologuing in up to this point.
Yep.
Silik very gentlemanly asks Archer to just leave, which was kind of confusing to me.
Do you mind?
Would you perchance, sir, please exit post-haste?
Yeah. Like, I was not expecting that. I will say that much. So he decides to drop the defensive edge and dumps his camo and just runs full force into Archer and tackles him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like, Archer was expecting him to not do that. So he's got the element of surprise running at him slowly from the front.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess so.
He could have, I don't know, like stabbed him while invisible, but whatever.
Right? He winds up with Archer's phase pistol and starts firing at Archer, which we were talking about frame dragging a while back, like before we watched this episode. So it was kind of interesting to see them try to cinematographically, is that a word?
Yes,
demonstrate it.
Yeah. Illustrate
it was pretty neat.
Visual way, yeah.
Yeah. So Archer's like matrix dodging these phase pistol shots.
Which, by the way, I'm pretty sure Silik just warned him about firing.
Yes. 100% yes.
Yeah, Silik was like, hey, don't shoot that in here. And then he took it from us, like, because I get to do it.
Yeah.
After I tackle you.
And I appreciate the borrowed notes here about the epileptic seizure causing fight scene.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah, there's a lot of strobe going on.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot. So yeah, we get this weird scene with Silik's hand going all funky.
Does it go backwards or whatever?
Yeah, it goes backwards.
That's
fantastic.
It's like a Rakshasa. Yeah.
Yes. And this is where the Chekhov's rifle part about the transporter earlier on in the show like comes into effect, and they manage to beam the captain up, which is the first time in the history of Star Trek apparently that this actually worked. It sounded like from the beginning of the episode that it had previously only been used for equipment transportation, right? Like that was what it was used for.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time that like a human being has been transported.
Right.
Which is like, I'm impressed that the transporter didn't have some kind of safety protocol to not let you accidentally do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure that
button, it's fine.
Yeah. They'll hack their way in. It's fine.
Although I am impressed that they were able to grab him out of there, because the station made of magnetic interlocks is the exact kind of thing that a later show in Star Trek would be like, sorry, we can't transport it out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, too much electromagnetic intervention or
interference.
Interference. Thank you.
Now I'm imagining a bunch of magnets having an intervention as one of them walks in the room.
That's the future treatment for like alcohol abuse or something.
The one that comes in the room,
stick in a room with a bunch of magnets
covered in like iron filings.
Yep. Yeah. So after their rescue, they manage to get to Kronos safely. Klingons seem to have mixed opinions about whether or not it was the right thing to bring Klang back. Klang himself just wants to end his life for
been dishonored.
Some slight of his own honor. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they dig into his hand with a knife, and
get that blood.
Yep.
Which was it pink in this show?
It was not.
God damn.
Right. That was one thing that Chris brought up.
Yeah. In my notes, I'd specifically said it's less pink than I remember Klingon blood being.
No, Klingon blood is supposed to be super pink.
Yeah, and Hoshi has some interesting translations to relay back to the captain and crew. That was a very awkward scene.
Yeah.
Which I guess was appropriate because, like, they were told very specifically that the Klingons weren't going to want Klang back, and they just did it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It was very strange.
Well, and I guess, like, there's this idea that, like, they don't want Klang back because Klingons don't care about dead bodies. But this Klingon was carrying some kind of secret message or some shit.
Right, in his
DNA.
In his DNA.
That's the real reason they wanted the blood. Maybe that's why it wasn't pink. Maybe it was because it was modified.
There you go.
That's a grade A retcon.
Fuck you. Sorry, messenger DNA is red. That's just the rule.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's RNA instead of D. I don't know. Anyway, wind up in the wrap up. Starfleet loves the work they do and say to stay out there and take a look around.
We love the work you do so much. We'd like you to stay away from us, please. Thank you.
Yeah. Archer confesses to T'Pol that maybe they've gotten off on the wrong foot and he's been a bit insensitive, and ask her to tag along, which I'm assuming Vulcan High Command approves. We actually get a little bit of an eyebrow raise, a Vulcan eyebrow raise out of her, and a smile for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
And Archer is never mean to T'Pol ever again.
Never.
No, definitely not.
Never do that. And T'Pol is never haughty or condescending at all to any of the other humans.
Haughty.
No. No, it's haughty.
That's I heard like T'Pol is not a hottie. Wait, what? Where did that come from? Haughty.
So we wrap up the episode with another flashback back to Archer and Daddy Archer successfully flying the model.
Daddy Archer.
Oh.
All right, so we're going to take a break here for a few minutes, and we will be back for our deep dive. Welcome back, everybody, to our deep dive for this week. So I was pretty intrigued by the ridiculousness of the technology of Voltron Space Station, and I was kind of curious. Like, I know that it's been a thing, right, in popular culture, that a lot of devices that originate from various Star Trek series wind up making their way into reality in various ways. Mm-hmm. So I went online. And there are tons and tons of lists, but I found one that was like relatively reasonable. I thought we could go through from Screen Rant, where they go through about 15 devices that have made their way into real life. And I want to get you guys to give us either a thumbs up or a thumbs down on the real world versions of these Star Trek solutions.
So
these are good.
These are devices that Star Trek presaged?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So, number 15 here is big screen television. This was like a brand new concept. Yeah, so back in the original series was the first time that they had like real, like honest to God, non-projector based screens.
Huh. Interesting.
Ah, boy. I see. This is where it's like, does that count? Because like we had movie theaters and we had televisions, and it doesn't take like a huge logical leap to go like, well, someday maybe my TV will be as big as a movie theater. Like,
think about it. You can't do that with cathode ray tubes. Like they're so prohibitively expensive.
But what are we talking about? Are we talking about a flat television? Because Star Trek didn't presage that either. That would be George Orwell in 1984. The book 1984, which he wrote way before Star Trek came out.
Seeing it in a book is different than visually seeing it.
Yeah. Well, like the funny thing here too is I guarantee you this big screen TV is really just a projector.
Yeah.
But it was just the idea of it being a flat
and
screen without the projector.
Right. And the first big screen TVs that we used to have in our homes before we invented plasma and shit were projector.
Projection, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were those like flat, weird, like
flat screen,
TVs.
but then have like the giant ass on them.
Yeah, my buddy of mine, actually, he just passed away this year, actually. But he had one when I was a kid.
So I feel like this might be an easy one, but how do you guys feel? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
What are we feeling about?
Like, I like big screen.
You are thumbing, right? You are thumbing the way that the interpretation made it into popular culture.
I'm going to go with thumbs down only because I don't think I would credit Star Trek with presaging. Presaging? I need to look up how that word's pronounced if I'm going to keep saying it. I don't think I would. I don't think it's appropriate to credit Star Trek with that. I don't think that seems reasonable. Oh, they're both pronunciations are okay. Okay, well, I'll use presage because it sounds easier to say.
Yeah, I mean,
it sounds fancier.
I kind of lean the same way as Stanford here. I don't know that it could be totally contributed to Star Trek. I mean, obviously, big TVs are fun and all, but just for the sheer fact is, I think that's certainly something that was not necessarily solely attributable to Star Trek.
Okay. Next up would be cell phones. So a lot of people interpret cell phones as a modern day equivalent to communicators from the original series.
This is one that I've heard before, and I guess I don't have a problem with the concept, although again, like, we were gonna get there, but I don't have another fiction to point to, like I did with the flat screen TVs. Like, so I guess they would get credit for having it. Cause like, there's a difference, I guess, between like, I'm gonna presage something that actually does happen, and it is because of me that the technology got developed. And because there are, if I understand, and depending on where your list goes, I think there are technologies that literally did get developed because of Star Trek. But does a cell phone count as something that got developed because of Star Trek, or just something that Star Trek predicted? And I think it would be more towards the predicted part, because like, cell phones are kind of inevitable. Because we already had walkie-talkies and shit in the 60s.
Sure. Yeah. We had like, long range radios and things like that. So
yeah, the wireless was invented in 1912 or something like that.
Yeah.
So thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs up my bums.
Yeah, I'll give it a thumbs up because I acknowledge that it is a popular like concept that Star Trek successfully presaged cell phone technology.
Right. Intelligent personal assistants. So I think in this way they're referring to like the computer aboard their starships, to like
Siri type things.
Siri or Alexa.
Yeah.
When's the first Star Trek that showed up in?
Original series.
The original series had a talking computer on the ship?
I'm fairly certain. I could be wrong though.
I mean, I know Next Gen for sure did.
Yeah, but Next Gen had the whole thing where it was like, computer, tell me such and such and such and such. It'll be such and such. Okay, thank you. Like,
was that your Picard?
I feel like...
yes, absolutely. That is 100%. Like, it was like he was here.
Like, I'm pretty sure, wasn't it in like a female voice? Like, I feel like they had a talking computer in the original one.
There were a couple talking computers in the original series, but I don't remember them ever being like assistants. But again, you've probably seen more original series than I have. But as far as like the next generation kind of computer talking assistant thing, I'd give them that. Yeah. Like, I don't know that really was a thing, especially that like call and response kind of concept. Cause like you had HAL, I guess, from 2001.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right.
But even HAL, I don't think that was more of a like, yeah, actually, it's funny because HAL doesn't do a good job because they would say his name after commands. Open the pod bay doors, HAL. Where like the concept of like, because Next Generation was very much like you have to use the wake word for the computer to know you're talking to it.
computer.
And that is something that I would give Star Trek credit for at least predicting, if not inspiring, the way it actually works.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Right.
They do rely on some sort of wake word.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll give that one a thumbs up. Sure.
Agreed.
Okay. Replicators. So the examples that they give are mostly involving 3D printers. They do note that there are 3D printers that can reproduce food now.
But apparently it tastes like ass.
Yeah, it's all like freeze-dried stuff that gets reconstituted.
I was going to say, what is it made of?
It involves they use pods, sort of like a K-cup. So you kind of have to know what you want before you put it in.
Oh, it's like that. It's like that stuff in Fifth Element, because she puts like the powder in the bowl and pushes the button, and then a whole chicken comes out with all the dressings and stuff.
It's it doesn't look good. So the examples that I saw, they look like they're like cylindrical pellets the size of like a deck of cards. And what comes out the other end doesn't look any more appetizing.
Gross.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have a hard time. So the question,
I would say thumbs down on this one. I think just because we're not there yet. We're not there.
Because the question is whether or not like a replicator led to the 3D printer, and I'm not sure I agree with that, because the 3D printer is a very primitive technology compared to a fucking replicator.
Yeah. Universal translator.
Well, like Google Translate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't
You can't just yell ship into it and it figures it out eventually. That's not.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with no on this one. Google Translate is taking database, comparing it to database.
And I'm also gonna go with the fact that the concept of a universal translator did not originate with Star Trek.
Yeah, down on that one.
That's fair. Hands-free or Bluetooth phones. It's like here they're referring to the earpiece that Uhura used to have.
Huh. Okay.
Ooh, that's a good point.
I'll thumbs up that one.
I would probably let them have that one. The idea of a Bluetooth, like a small detached device that interacts with the bigger computer you're sitting at. In 1967 or whenever that show started, that's a pretty big fucking leap.
Yep, agree.
Yeah, I'd give them that.
They have the tricorder listed here, and they go into these handheld labs that people are working on. However, I don't think that's a good correlation.
What was that company called that scammed everyone out of all their money?
Oh, that's right.
The woman with the single
Theranos?
drop of blood. Theranos, that's right.
Theranos, yeah.
Yeah, Theranos. Remember how Star Trek predicted that the tricorder would take all of your money and not give you accurate results?
I would be more interested in comparing these to telemetry devices that are used at patient bedsides. Because that I feel is more what the tricorder was used for. It was checking vitals. Right. It wasn't checking. Well, I mean,
no, because they have those in next to the medical beds. They have heartbeats and stuff. Like a tricorder's like a scanner that because it didn't just do medical stuff. It also
there was different types of tricorders. There was medical tricorders and there was science tricorders.
And at first those distinctions were pretty important. Later, the medical tricorders are just the ones with that extra little thing.
There was an episode of Voyager where the doctor specifically, he says, hand me the tricorder. The medical tricorder.
Yeah, the medical tricorder is the one where you have to pull out the extra piece. Like the super scanner or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It comes with a probe.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that there are people that are trying to work on things that work akin to a tricorder. And we're not there yet, but once we get there, I will absolutely give that a thumbs up. That Star Trek helped that along.
Okay, Christopher.
What?
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Oh, down for now.
Okay. Tablet computers.
Yeah, definitely thumbs up for this one. That's
Yeah.
the one that jumped out to in my head at first. I'm like, oh, tablets for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Data pads.
Yeah,
data pads.
It's the exact same thing.
Which is actually, it's really funny too, because if you watch some of the older ones with the data pads, especially like Voyager and like Next Generation, they get it right, but still get it wrong. Because in Voyager, like one of the kids on the show was like, had to take lessons or something, and the like adult was handing him tablets and be like, here's a book on such and such, here's a book on such and such.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's one tablet.
No, that's one tablet. Like, here's the link to download all of the books you need onto your tablet. Why would you hand him more than one tablet? So it's funny how they get it right and then immediately get it wrong.
I remember as a kid watching Next Generation, think, man, that'd be cool if I had a computer in my hands. We're the fucking future boys.
Yeah.
We're at that age where, like, that is still cool to me. Like, because, you know, when I had computers in my house because my parents were programmers.
Yes.
Like, from when I was, like, basically, we had a computer my entire life. But born in 1985, that was not true of most of the people in our lives.
Same experience.
Because, Rob, when was your first computer?
5th grade.
Yeah.
I didn't have one until 5th grade.
And nowadays, like, Liam doesn't know a lot. My son Liam doesn't know a life without a tablet that he can touch. He used to touch our LCD TV because he thought it was a touchscreen.
Dude, we had his fingerprints on our TV because the first time he came over, he walked up and just immediately started trying to push things.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, in his defense, you know, we had the Sling menu up and the all the different apps, they're tiles.
Yeah,
and
they
it
look
looks
like
just
buttons.
like it does on a smartphone.
Yeah.
iTop computers.
What's an iTop?
So they're talking about like Google Glass or HoloLens.
Oh, iTop?
Like
I've never heard that phrase
Never heard
before.
of that before.
I have not either, but that's what they're using to describe it. So the image that they've got here is the doctor from TNG, whose name escapes me right now. Crusher. Oh,
Crusher.
Crusher.
The Crusher.
Yeah. She's got a like a medical device on that's got a lens on the right eye that she's using to examine Worf with.
That's the first example they can come up with?
Wow.
That is the
shit,
first
I'm pretty sure
example
the
they can
original
come up with.
Battlestar Galactica had shit like that. Like,
Yeah, I'm going to go with thumbs down on that one.
yeah, that's not a hard thing to come up with, and I'm pretty sure it's existed in a lot of different... What? Wait, no,
Like,
hold
I'm
on,
pretty sure
hold
at
on.
that point
I
it's
guarantee
existed
you,
in fighters. Like fighter jets.
Fighter jets, maybe. The Apache helicopter has a weapon
Right.
system that works like that. And it's
yep.
thing was made in the early 80s,
Right.
Yeah.
I think. So yeah, no. We've already had that.
All right, thumbs down. Video calls.
Who would we say? Would that be the original series had video calls?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, ship-to-ship communication. Right?
I just
Again, my issue is that Star Trek is not the first people to come up with that. Orwell had that shit too, you know?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when they brought this up.
Right.
I don't think that they are the first example of this existing.
But did they popularize it? TV reaches a much broader audience than
they
some books do.
popularize video calling?
I'm actually leaning yes on this. I mean, I'm leaning thumbs up on this.
Yeah. All right. I'll let you have that one.
Tractor beams. So this has been demonstrated in a real life lab. NYU has managed to... I'm sorry, not NYU. There was a UK-based team of engineers that managed to use sound waves to move tiny objects up to 5 millimeters in size.
So I'm going to go with no on this one just because this is like
we're not there yet.
Not practical use at all.
It's
like when you read articles on like fusion power and it says all this stuff. You're like, oh man, that's awesome. And then you realize that they only have like half of the technology down. They don't have the important parts yet.
Sure. Although I think they just had like a 90-second sustained critical mass on a fusion generator like a couple weeks ago.
They did.
Which was like mind-bogglingly cool. The only other issue I have with tractor beams is that like the concept of the tractor beam is not a new concept. Bugs Bunny was like making shit come across the room to him with a magnet in the 40s, you know? Like The tractor beam is like, well, obviously magnets don't work. So like, okay, but it's also not a new concept. Like we understand how pulling things remotely works, right?
Yeah, I'm along the same thinking on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with no.
I was definitely not on board with this one. The next example they give, again, problematic sample, like real world examples they give here. Phasers. So the example that they give for a real world implementation was the taser.
That's not even like the best example of that.
No, like the Navy has those.
Well, so actually,
laser beams.
Well, hold on a second. The taser would be a good real world example of the stun setting of a phaser.
Okay, I guess I'll give you that one. But also, it's not at all the same.
By the way, I just remembered the earliest iteration in science fiction of a tractor beam that I can personally remember is from E. Doc Smith's Triplanetary, which was published in 1934.
Oof. So,
fuck you, Star Trek.
Oof.
I just remembered. It just popped into my brain. So... Yeah, because like we had talked about earlier, like that they put their phasers on the stun setting, which I always had a problem with because like, what the fuck is a stun setting doing?
Right.
Because it kind of works on everybody, but also sometimes doesn't when it's dramatic, which I get.
Yeah.
Because like,
I would
Vulcans
imagine
take
it's the
a
same
time.
thing. Yeah, I would imagine it's the same thing that's trying to be accomplished with a taser. You're just trying to overwhelm their nervous system.
Right. But as far as like handheld lasers, because like a phaser is just a laser, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know that Star Trek gets credit for that because ray guns have been a thing since the beginning of Golden Age science fiction, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No,
Marvin Martian.
Exactly. Like, so, I mean, I understand that they made them more sciencey instead of calling them ray guns, but like a phaser is just a ray gun.
Yeah. So, thumbs down there.
Yep.
From both of you. Bionic eyes. So
like
here
a la
they use
Geordie LaForge?
Geordie. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'm going to go with no. Like cybernetics, I mean, in general, has been explored in many other areas of sci-fi. Star Trek doesn't get credit for it.
I'd be inclined to agree.
I'm trying to think of like, yeah, because you're talking about an artificial eyeball. Oh yeah, because goddamn, is there anything I don't fucking have an example for? There is a book by Philip K. Dick called not Scanner Darkly. It was the other one. Well, he has a lot of books. The one where they went to Mars. Rob, you probably had to read it in that science fiction class. With the drugs, Candy and Choosy. Palmer was the name of the bad guy in that book. But anyways, Palmer had artificial bionic eyes. They were like metal with slits in them that would allow the light to come in on just like photoreceptors. And that book was written, I believe, in the late 60s. So, The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch is the name of that book. Fucking hell. Can't believe I pulled that out. One of the stigmata of Palmer Eldritch was his eyeballs, and his eyeballs are cybernetic. And that, like I said, that definitely predates Next Generation. It may predate the original series too.
So the last example that they give here, I don't know how I feel about this one either. Personal computers. So here they're showing like a couple of the workstations like on the deck with the crew or like down in the transporter rooms. Like they're working at individual workstations, I guess is what they're getting at.
Yeah, no.
Oh, wait. Personal computers as in like a terminal?
Yes.
Interesting.
I don't know enough about the history of like modern computing to say whether or not that's true. Because like I remember like my grandfather used to be a foreman in a steel mill. And like he was telling me he remembered when like IBM first showed up to install computers where he worked. Like I don't know what like I don't have a date for that, but like it was before.
Yeah, let me get like
this.
You know what's interesting is there's a book called this entire episode should be subtitled Stanford saying there's a book called. There's a book called A Mote in God's Eye. It's one of Larry Niven's earlier works. He teamed up with Jerry Pournelle for this book. And there's a specific, so they're on a ship, and the ship has one computer. And they each have like little tablet computers, but the tablet computers aren't actually computers. They just talk to the ship and let the ship do the computing. Which is like kind of clever for 1974, but it was also like not really a personal computer in the same way that like my computer here is not talking to a bigger computer to do its math, right? So I don't know if the original series had enough, because like saying that they had computers at all of those stations is an interesting way to put it when all they were buttons and switches. Yep. And like we've had buttons and switches at different stations throughout like nuclear plants and in submarines and airplanes
nuclear
and shit.
Pants?
Nuclear pants. Nuclear plants and submarines and airplanes and shit for decades before Star Trek came out. So like, are those computers? The closest thing I could think of is like in Next Generation, they had those like weird laptop thingies.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's interesting.
I don't think I'm willing to give this one to them.
I think too many other science fictions do personal computers to give it to Star Trek.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, actually, the personal computer showed up when Star Trek was off air. Because the Apple II was, what, 1983?
I have no idea.
Somewhere in there. But, you know, Next Generation didn't show back up to, what, 88?
Yep. Well,
so
that wraps up the list.
Do we think there's any other text that list does not include?
No.
Because I actually, hypodermic sprays, I would say, is one. Needleless injection is like a thing a lot of companies are working on, and that is straight up Star Trek.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair.
I think the other one I saw on a couple of like forum posts that I was considering using for this was like cloaking devices. There are people trying to design. I mean, it's clearly not as good as like the active camo on a Klingon bird of prey, but they're like giant. One of the most effective ones I saw was basically just a giant lens that bent whatever was right behind it. It bent the light around it, so from a distance, it absolutely looks like it doesn't exist. It's pretty incredible. But it's also very expensive to make lenses that big.
Sure. Yeah, and like I would definitely give Star Trek credit for that because they definitely popularized the idea of the cloaking device.
Mm-hmm. Right.
What about like holodecks?
What about shields? I can't think of another fiction that really did shields before Star Trek.
Not before Star Trek? Like Star Wars glommed onto it hard.
Yeah, they did with the cloak too, in that one line of dialogue. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, thanks for jumping through this with me, guys.
Of course.
We'll be back in a few minutes for the last section.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. This is our third and final section of the podcast, what we've started calling Potpourri. I thought we'd have a little fun, and we'd play a little game I'd like to call Name That Captain. I'm going to read you some quotes, and you're going to have to tell me which captain said it.
Oh, no. Do we have, like, bounds? Like, who is it? Which captains are valid?
Is it multiple choice?
It is not multiple choice.
Yes, you have multiple choice of several captains.
Yeah, well, that's fair. Yeah, you know, your main captains from each series, you know, Kirk, Picard, Sisko.
Okay, so Sisko
Janeway,
counts even though
Archer.
he was a commander. Okay.
He was also a captain.
That doesn't count.
He got promoted.
I defy you.
Yeah, I included pretty much the captain from every series.
So if you quote Sulu off the Excelsior, that doesn't count. He's not.
I'm talking major captains.
Okay,
not like,
cool. Okay.
Not like weird tertiary captains who are like mentioned once in the series.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. First one.
Is this a buzz in or is this a Like,
I'm just going to take your guesses.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. I said you're an ugly bastard. Is the first quote. I'm not just being insulting to you guys.
Kirk.
Stanford?
Oh, God. I said you're an ugly bastard. It does sound like Kirk. No, wait. No. Was that Picard?
What's your answer?
It may have been Picard. I'm going to go with Picard.
You are both wrong. That is our intrepid Captain Dewar. Captain Archer.
Oh, God.
That does sound like that seemed too easy.
Very Archer. All right. This should be an easier one. I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
That is definitely Kirk.
Pike? Is Pike an option?
Yes, Pike is an option.
I would say Pike.
No, it's Kirk. It's got to be Kirk, right? It's from Khan.
It is Kirk.
Oh.
Yeah, because then
I'm shooting for 0 here. That's my new goal.
You'll get some. Don't worry. You'll get some.
He's going to shoot
par,
the
moon.
Right?
All right, next quote. I can assure you this old cat might not be as toothless as you think.
Picard? Is that Picard from Picard?
I also say Picard.
You would also be wrong because that was in fact Mr. Benjamin Sisko.
Oh.
He says that to the Klingons when they're
No.
threatening to, invade the station.
I watched I swear I've seen all of DS9 because I watched it not all that long. I watched it on Paramount Plus, so it couldn't have been that long ago. But goddamn, I do not remember any of the lines that man says.
All right, next one. The Prime Directive is not just a set of rules, it is a philosophy, and a very correct one. History has proven again and again that whenever mankind interferes with less developed civilization, no matter how well-intentioned that interference may be, the results are invariably disastrous.
Picard?
Sounds like Burnham.
Is that your guess?
Yeah.
It is
God,
Picard.
Is Burnham an option?
It is Picard.
Wait, I haven't gotten that far in Discovery. Does Burnham become a captain? I need to know that just so I could answer these questions appropriately. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Spoiler
No,
alert.
that's okay. No, it's okay. I didn't know that she might be an option here.
It sounded speechy enough to be Star Trek speeches.
Yes, yeah. I agree. All right, here's another speechy one. The first duty of every Starfleet officer is to the truth, whether it's scientific truth or historical truth or personal truth. It is the guiding principle on which Starfleet is based, and if you can't find it within yourself to stand up and tell the truth about what happened, you don't deserve to wear that uniform.
I hate everything about that statement because it's so wrong. Like, everything's about truth. Personal truth, historical truth, and scientific truth. Those can be 3 very different things. As 2020 taught all of us. Yeah, I would actually probably go with that too.
You would be wrong. It is in fact Captain Picard.
Woo.
That's when he's yelling at Wesley about that.
Could you just stop? I assume he's always yelling at Wesley. Shut up, Wesley.
When he has
I feel like I feel like quizzes like this are going to be really awful until we're like several years into this program.
You should save this quiz and see if we could do it again.
I am saving all of these, so
that's a great idea.
We'll put it up again. All right.
So I have not watched a major Star Trek series since college. It's been well over 10 years.
Well, you said you're watching Discovery and stuff now too, so
yeah. I'm sorry. I mean, like up until Paramount Plus was a thing. Like,
gotcha.
We were planning this.
Oh gosh. All right. Next one. There are 3 things to remember about being a starship captain: keep your shirt tucked in, go down with the ship, and never abandon a member of your crew.
Keep your shirt tucked in.
I mean, we were just talking about how Picard needs to keep his shirt tucked in.
Yeah.
That can't be Picard. No, that sounds
Pike.
It does sound
like
Pike.
Something
that sounds
cheeky,
pikey.
he would
It
say.
sounds something, yeah.
You'd be wrong.
Oh.
That is
it
indeed our coffee-loving captain, Captain Janeway.
It's Archer? Oh, it's Janeway.
Yeah. Janeway loves coffee. Remember, there's coffee in that nebula.
Yes, she does. She loves coffee.
All right.
I'm excited to watch Voyager, because like I watched like maybe the first couple episodes when it first came out, and then just stopped watching. I don't remember why. I wasn't feeling it. But like you guys talk up Voyager like it was just, you know, the Star Trek icon, and I kind of regret not having seen it.
I mean, he does.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys means, because like it's pretty much just me.
Yeah.
Well, like you seem to
I think our favorite Star
genuinely
Treks are
enjoyed
very, very apparent here.
I think all three of us have very different favorite Star Treks.
All right. Next one. Giving up our values in the name of security is to lose the battle in advance.
That sounds like Burnham too.
Kirk.
I'm gonna go with Burnham.
It is Captain Pike.
Oh
God damn it. We are fucking awful.
All right, next one. There comes a time in every man's life when he must stop thinking and start doing.
Oh, Archer. It's gotta be Archer. He's gotta be Captain Dewar.
I'm gonna say Kirk.
You're both wrong. It is Cisco.
No, it's Archer. No,
when I
channeling Archer.
When I picked that one, I'm like, oh, they're definitely gonna guess Archer on this one.
we need to like make a meme where we combine the Shia LaBeouf "Do It" but put Archer's face on it.
There you go.
The fuck is the Shia LaBeouf "Do It"?
You remember that was like this is a meme throwback from like I don't know 5 to 6 at least years ago.
Yeah, it's old.
Yeah,
it's old because I'm old.
It was for some like film school project that he was like helping some kids out with, and it was like specific scenes where he was supposed to be being dramatic, but it's totally out of context. It's just him screaming, "Just do it!" in front of a green screen. It's hilarious. All right, next one. You know that pain and guilt can't be taken away with the wave of a magic wand. They're the things we carry with us, the things that make us who we are. If we lose them, we lose ourselves. I don't want my pain taken away. I need my pain.
Picard.
Yeah, that sounds like Picard.
It is Kirk.
What pain is he talking about?
I don't remember.
Maybe Spock.
No, because it would have to be from the show.
Yes, it's from the show for sure.
Huh.
All right, next one. The road from legitimate suspicion to rampant paranoia is very much shorter than we think.
Cisco?
Very much Picard.
There you go.
Yeah, very much is a very British expression.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. Good job using those context clues there, Stanford.
Yeah, because I don't remember that one at all, but yeah.
All right. I don't like bullies, I don't like threats, and I don't like you.
Dude, I feel so lost at this point.
I don't like bullies, I don't like threats, and I don't like you.
Like, I'm in my own head thinking, what kind of captain would say that? And it's all of them.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Janeway.
Stanford, or Rob, Good Adventure gets.
Pike?
Stanford is correct. It is Captain Janeway.
Nice.
Oh.
I had to think about like who would be quite that direct about not liking a specific person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it was either her or Archer again, but it felt too eloquent to be Archer.
I agree. Yeah, 100%.
Archer just be like, fuck you, man. USA. USA.
Oh, God.
All right, next one.
Shoots off some fireworks.
Pew, 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 pew.
All right. Wishing never changed a damn thing.
That
Cisco.
sounds like Cisco.
What did you say, Rob?
I said Cisco.
Yeah, correct. Both of you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you know which episode that's from?
No.
The Rapunzel or the Rumpelstiltskin episode.
No.
Oh God, that episode's so fucking dumb.
No, it's actually one of the more well-liked episodes. The one where he like goes back and is like the writer.
That episode is very interesting.
It's a very interesting episode.
It makes me very uncomfortable because it's like, oh, he doesn't know, but he knows. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, next one. A matter of national security, the age-old cry of the oppressor.
Wow. Matter of national security, the age-old cry of the oppressor. I'm going to go with Archer.
Rob?
Did we lose Rob?
No, I'm still here. Picard.
Picard is correct.
Nice.
Yes.
Nicely done. Oh, a matter of national security. Oh, you know what? Is that from the episode where he's getting like interrogated by the Romulans or the Cardassians?
I can't remember where that one's from, to be honest.
How many lights are there? There are 3 lights.
No, this is one where he's defending somebody over something.
How many lights are there? There are 3 lights. That, by the way, a direct reference to George Orwell's 1984.
Also one of the best Next Generation episodes. All right. Sometimes a feeling is all we humans have to go on.
That sounds like Kirk talking to Spock.
My body wants to say Archer.
My body is telling me Archer.
Faith of the heart. Oh God, who was that? Can you repeat it again?
Sometimes a feeling is all we humans have to go on.
Picard?
What was that?
I'm going to say Picard.
You would be incorrect. It is indeed Kirk.
Yeah.
You got.
I thought it might have been like. I thought it might have been something he said to like Data or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, I could see because like I could also see Burnham saying it because she was raised as a Vulcan. I could see Archer saying it to T'Pol. Like, yeah.
All right. Next one. We're Starfleet officers. Weird is part of the job.
That's got to be. Wait, is the lower decks captain valid?
I did not include lower decks quotes on this.
Oh man, because that sounds like a lower decks quote.
Which captain is the most lower decks?
Pike. I'm gonna go.
It's got to be Pike. Got to be Pike.
It is Captain Janeway.
It is Janeway. Shit.
Mm-hmm. Wait, she's
I forgot.
The most lower decks?
She got so flippant sometimes.
Oh yeah, she was very, very, very much. All right. A final frontier begins in this hall. Let's explore it together.
That's Archer in his speech about making the Federation, is my guess.
Rob?
Like, I feel like it's a cop-out to say, no, that totally makes sense, and just say Archer.
You can agree with him. That's fine.
You could be just as wrong as me. It's fine.
No, that sounds too eloquent for him. I'm going to say Cisco.
It is Archer, yeah. And you are correct in the source of that quote, Stanford.
Nice! Because, like, it had to be either that or, like, somebody's speech to, like, a graduating class of the academy or some shit, right?
Yeah. All right. If you want to know what it means to be human, you need to do more than observe.
That's Picard. He's got to be talking about Data there, right?
Rob?
Yeah, let's go with Picard.
All right, guys. If you're not just observing, you're doing something, aren't you?
Is that Archer?
It is Archer, yeah.
Fuck you, Chris. God damn.
Dude. This is just like horrible.
How many more of these are there? Because
I got 3 more. That's it.
We're doing real bad.
Yeah. The real world doesn't always adhere to logic. Sometimes down is up. Sometimes up is down. Sometimes when you're lost, you're found.
That's Kirk. Yeah, in Khan.
It is Captain Michael Burnham.
Fuck. Oh.
You know as well as I do that fear only exists for one purpose, to be conquered. Which, by the way, I don't agree with this quote. That is a dumb quote.
That is a dumb quote.
Fear exists for one purpose, to be conquered. I'm going to go with Cisco. Although, I don't know.
Fear exists for one purpose, to be conquered.
It does sound a little archery, too.
Yeah,
there's only one reason fear's there, so you can be a doer.
Punch it right in the face.
Yeah, I'm going to say Archer. I'm going to pick Archer for this one.
Captain Janeway.
God damn it, Janeway. It's like I don't even know you.
All right. I made the last one a gimme. You ready?
Okay.
Is it Engage?
I guessed right.
Oh Kirk. Man, yes. It is actually Spock from the movies.
Yeah. Was he acting captain at that point?
Probably, yeah. Because he died. Because it's a trick question.
Oh,
yep.
God.
All right. So it was 20 questions.
Please don't tell me you kept score.
Of course I kept score.
Yeah, he did. Oh. I doubt I got more than 8.
You got, hold on, let me count. Let me double count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Rob, okay. You got 1, 2, 3, 4.
4.
4.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't. Wow. Well, I was like, oh, I didn't do that much better. 3 more correct answers. Not a lot better out of 20 questions.
You know, you're just messing up the curve here, Stanford, and making me look bad.
Okay, frankly, I think we need to have a talk with Chris about how hard he makes his fucking trivia, because this is the second time he's destroyed us with this.
Dude, the one thing that I've realized from this is that, like, it's not Burnham who's Captain Speeches, it's Captain Janeway. Because holy crap,
Captain Janeway is like speeches that punch you in the face, though.
I guess so.
I don't like you, bitch. She's like the Ellen Ripley of fucking Starfleet captains.
All right, well that wraps up our potpourri section for today. Any final thoughts from everybody?
That was a really good one, Chris.
That was good.
Thank you. All right, well, I bid you adieu, folks, and we'll catch you next time.